All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all the children that are up. We are the Jawbers. My name is Max Jaw, and I'm here with Mr. Big D.
What up? What up?
And we are reviewing Night of Champions World Heavyweight Title main event, first match main event out of three main events. First match main event. Because it's all main event now. Every single match. WWE is so good, it's all main event now. It is Seth Rollins, the architect, who's designed my pool, which is leaking, so I'm going to have to call him. And AJ Styles, the oldie but goodie, for the World Heavyweight Championship. Thoughts?
I liked it. It was a well done match. It was a rest. I don't know. I want to say. I want to say like it was a wrestling fans wrestling match. Um, it was really solid. It was a good match. They worked good together.
So I was telling you this, and now that we're recording, I'm going to say it again. I don't understand or particularly care about AJ Styles wrestling. Uh, that is separate from his ability or what he can actually do, which is, you know, there's a reason why he's the phenomenal one. Um, I just it was like it's like watching two good guys wrestle. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
it's tough to like. I like it was a back and forth. It was a back and forth match, and I mean it wasn't that exciting to me. Um,
well,
I,
it's hard to do those kind of matches. I think because there isn't that like emotional ground to hold on to,
it was nothing
and
personal.
like all the only thing that they're fighting for is to be the first heavyweight new heavyweight champion. I swear there's been a WWE heavyweight championship, but maybe not. But either way, that's all this was. That's all it was. It wasn't like you're building up a hate relationship between the two. They dislike each other. All it is based off of all they bring up is their legacies and their past. That's all that this match was based off of
Mm.
because we didn't know who was going to be in this match up until what 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Well, yeah, it's a tournament match, so it's just the finals of a tournament, and
Right,
it's
right.
it's always going to be more difficult to build a story of over a tournament match. But even then, I mean, it's like since you know who's going to win, you you could have possibly like a heel and a face or somebody who's done who has some history together, or at least some history that you can create. You know, um, uh,
Sometimes the best of the best aren't. Sometimes they're both good.
well, it's not the question whether they're good. Like for me, it's like so here's okay. I'll say the positives that I actually really liked. First, I like Seth Rollins. I like what he does as far as messing with it's almost like he watches tape on every wrestler, and
Mhm.
then he knows what moves they're gonna do, or where they're gonna go, or where they're gonna be, and he either moves out of the way, or trips him up, or pushes the rope, which is this instance. AJ Styles is gonna jump on the rope there, boom. Seth Rollins
Yep.
comes in and just sees it and pushes him off. I mean, like that to me, it was like that. That's like a really those are the great parts of the match. So like the first couple of minutes with Seth Rollins just getting out of AJ's way, and
Right.
just messing with AJ, that was a great start, you know. Um, but other than that, I mean, this match was kind of blasé for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's really difficult because you come off the WrestleMania match between the Usos and Sammy and KO, and it's so personal and it's got deep story, and I cared about like their story. You know, I cared about how and that story developed in the middle of the match. It's like you know, there's like two. There's more than two ways, but there's two kind of basic ways of telling a story. Like you can have two people come into the ring and then they just kind of tell you exactly like on the face the story, or you can have two people you can that you've built up some sort of animosity between the two, and then you insinuate that throughout the match, like as opposed to just making it on the nose, like telling people what's going on.
Right.
You
Right.
involve them in that, and so to me, it's really difficult to give Sammy and KO and the Usos five toilet paper rolls and then come to this match and it's like these are great athletes. That's not the question. And Seth Rollins, he like I mean it's like I just think Seth Rollins can tell a much better story in the ring than AJ Styles can. That's just what I saw like I see in this match, and maybe I'm not like not maybe I'm not smart enough to notice all these little nuances they're putting in, and I don't know everybody the name of everybody's move and who did what to whom in 2 years ago at this place where he did this move to him and now this is payback like that's like maybe I'm too much of a casual fan for that. So I'm
Yeah.
and their big moves to me like I mean you can jump off the Eiffel Tower. I mean once it'll be exciting but but then after that, it's like and so like I just I wasn't in this match. I wasn't really that
Yeah.
excited about it anyway.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, it wasn't. Even I wasn't like super excited. Like, I wasn't like super into it because there wasn't really anything to get into it. Because, well, first of all, Seth was gone the last couple of weeks because he was filming um, for the movie that he's in, the new Captain America movie.
Hmm.
So he wasn't even there. So they decided to do a sit down interview and like span it across 2 weeks. You know, just him like pretty much like giving him like why he deserves to be this first time champion. Blah blah blah. Well, AJ is off on SmackDown, still having matches and stuff. So there wasn't like any face to face prior to this. Maybe at the press conference, which I didn't watch um, the day before press conference, but yeah, there just wasn't anything built up between the two. As far as like building a foundation of like giving them something to fight for besides just the championship.
Well, but that's what I wonder. Like,
You know?
has wrestling gotten to that point where it hasn't? Though
Well,
it's not
I don't
true.
know. They probably kind of like who knows? Like this, they probably like who knows when they decided like, hey, we're gonna have a new championship. Like that could have been done. That could have been like decided the day before the tournament started.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't
And
know. It just seems like out of nowhere and really weird. I mean, they're making this to be a heavyweight, a big time championship. It's not. Like, it's a secondary belt.
that's the
But
tough one. That's the tough one. Like
it's that's where it's like, where do they go from here? Like now you gotta now this can never be the first match of any premium live event again. Like, yeah, that's done and over. Like this is a top championship, so now this has to be at the top of every card. This and or the Universal
and everything in between.
Championship.
What the Universal,
Well, yeah,
undisputed.
it's tough. Like they've and like they built up this Intercontinental Championship. They've built that up really well.
Yeah.
So now it's like as Gunther becomes, getting better matches, that title is elevating itself up. And I mean, now it's almost like they're like, oh well, we got too many belts.
But
Oh,
is we're
have
but
some, have Roman lose it. Like,
well, that's what
it's,
because Roman unified it, and now it's no
right,
now it's like he just has an extra belt. They literally just no, bro. You just have an
right.
extra belt. Too bad. You're like,
And I get it. Like, he just celebrated his 1,000 days as champion. And, like, I understand like holding on to, for those records, but whatever. That has nothing to do with this match.
no,
But
no.
but it kind of does.
It
Because
has
thing
no
is like,
weight. It's not
right.
heavy. It's definitely not
Well,
heavy.
yeah. But
And
But
it's
we'll see where it goes from here. I mean, Rollins, he's always been a good champion holder in the past. Um, and yeah, so I'm like, whatever. It's the start of it's the brand new start of this championship. We haven't had a brand new championship since the women's tag team titles, and well, I'm just gonna leave that there. Um, so hopefully this can have a better lineage than that. Um, but yeah, as far as the match, I mean, it was solid. It
I
was
mean,
a good
yeah.
opener match. Crowd was involved.
I just like I don't understand the. It's really difficult to have this kind of match between two guys with like not a lot of story built up between the two because to me that's what I thought wrestling was about. But and then again, you got to improvise with what you got. And if Seth
Like
is
what would
not
like
there,
with the tournaments themselves, like like a thing like King of the Ring, like the old school King of the Ring, it was all done in one night. Like that gives it more meaning to
yeah,
me. If like you're gonna have if the final match does end up being a face versus a face, then have them be going through a whole night of like matches
yeah,
and
because
like their fight like it gives them more to fight for.
that's right, and they're both exhausted. So now you have a little bit of a story built up. It's like
Right now you even have more
it's not
like
them
I'm
against
going
each
to try.
other. Well, I
Right.
think it's not that storyline. Then is not like two baby faces against each other. The storyline is every man against themselves.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're fighting yourself as much as you're fighting the other person,
That's right. That's
and
right.
you're not. And there's no way in hell you're gonna let that guy beat you because you just went through two matches. You just went through almost an hour of match of fighting
That's
to
right.
get to this point. So like something like that, I would enjoy better than part of
And
the tournament on Monday, part of it on Friday, the rest of the Monday night, then the rest of the one on Friday,
well, it's
and
because they
then
gotta
2 weeks later,
fill up all
you
those
know,
slots, man. I mean, that's like it's
oh,
like this. It's like a being a victim of too much wrestling, and WWE has
oh,
got a problem, and like this is a problem that it just they have way too many good wrestlers. That's just that's just what it
that's why
is.
there's budget cuts.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Like, where are you gonna put all of them? And it's like,
Right,
having so many titles, it's almost like they're asking you, like, hey, but well, don't watch Raw if you're gonna watch SmackDown, you know. And here's a title for you, and here's a title for you, and I mean, it devalues it all. And there's just so much of their programming on that's all the time. It's like this machine that's just constantly pumping shit out. And it's like we
right,
had like every once in a while it spits out a good story, but generally most of the times it's like we just have to fill up time. It's like we have all this time where we're like almost like in a sense victims and successors and inheritors of their own success.
right. Yeah.
It's just too much, and it's like there's nothing wrong with Seth Rollins or AJ Styles, but if you're having a tournament where we all know that it's preset, we know who's gonna win. We know all of that. Tournaments don't work as well if you know if you even have an idea that they have an idea of who's gonna win. You
Right.
know?
And like they could have helped that by Triple H not having to say, this belt, whoever wins this this championship belt will be it's exclusively to Monday Night Raw. So right away you're thinking, well, whoever wins the Monday Night Raw side of the tournament's going to win the whole thing. Because what are you going to do? Like, yeah, hypothetically they could just move the other person to Raw, but then in AJ Styles' case, you have to move not only him, but you got to move Gallows and Anderson. You
Yep.
got to move Meechin. Like, you got to move a whole faction over to Raw, which
Yep.
is just, then why did you draft them to SmackDown? Like, that's just weird.
But that would have been
So
a
those
great
just,
storyline to separate them. They're just started getting them
oh,
together, so
well, well, that's, if they did that, it'd be like, well, we know who's getting released.
yeah. Well, see, there you go. It's
But
just where do you go?
it was like, it was tough to, like, I mean, I completely understand if people say like they weren't into it,
Yeah.
because I totally get that, because there wasn't anything substantial to hold on to like, the only thing that we had was there's going to be a new champion, and that's
Yeah,
why I
and
don't and that's why I can't argue that this was the first match
I was excited
of
when
the,
they unified the
yeah.
title. Like that was exciting to me. I was like,
Yeah, but then it's like history always has to get in the way, because then you had, like, you can write, like Roman Reigns, you can write this story good, and then all of a sudden it gets to a point, and then all of a sudden you're like, you look at the near future, and you're all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's getting close to Hogan's record. Like, we should keep it on him until then. Have him pass it, or like, what do we do? Do we? Well, let's get to that point and see what we're gonna do.
well,
And then here
Russ.
we are, 1,000 days later, and this belt. And it's not like Roman hasn't done a hell of a fucking job. He hasn't had, like, it's not like he hasn't had good stories and whatnot. But the length, like, championships like that, where you just hold it on one person like that, and at the same time keep it exclusive to SmackDown, it does kind of. It's like, what are you doing with the top guys on Raw? Like, what are they fighting for? And it's like
Well,
the U.S. title, but you can't have everyone just go after the U.S. title.
I never like to me the separation between SmackDown and Raw.
Right. Yeah. It was
Oh,
always way better when it was just the one thing.
I was never like I never bought into this. Oh, two separate brands, and they try to run them by separate
Right.
people, different people running them, and it's like that is literally like it feels like not maybe not literally, but it feels like it's because the, them being so successful and having so
Right.
many
So many people.
people to feature, but also realizing that hey, maybe we need to lower the schedule that we used to have so they don't get hurt
Right.
as much. But what they did though, it's like the style of wrestling changed to the point where they do more high risk maneuvers if they're wrestling, even if they're wrestling less. But that's not necessarily it. They don't, I know they wrestle less, but they still wrestle quite a bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's like I mean, I think it's all just about maximizing schedules and making as much dough. But like at one point, you have to look at like, but they're making a lot of money. The people are liking it. I am fully aware that
Yeah. Yeah.
that I
There's
am
no.
I'm a product, and it's like one of these people who has turned on to the oldies station on the radio, which whoever fucking listens to radio anymore. And I've turned on to the oldies station. They're playing shit that I used to listen to in high school, and going, oh, I get it. It's
It's the
like
oldies now.
it's
Oldies,
oldies,
the oldies station is no longer
oldies.
40s and 40s and 50s is now 1990s, early 2000s.
Yeah, that's oldies, and so that's just like I could care less about any high risk maneuver. I could care less about a suplex into a turnbuckle that where Seth Rollins lands on his neck means nothing to me unless there's some sort of meaning driving it. And like I can appreciate the wrestling on a physical scale, if you will.
Yeah,
Or
I think something like this could have easily been done. Like I said, the tournament,
yeah,
bring back a King of Ring style pay per view.
yeah,
You don't have to name it King of the Ring,
yeah,
but have it just be one night. It's a tournament, and then you main event. Okay, yeah, so you have the same matches that they had,
yeah.
and now at the actual main event, Seth Rollins, AJ Styles for this championship. That puts so much more weight onto that
Absolutely.
title right away. Right now, it's like people are saying, using words like secondary title. It's not a real heavyweight championship. Well,
It
no, because they didn't book it right. They
yeah,
they
it's not.
tried to,
Sorry, go ahead.
but when like they tried to, they did what they could, I guess. But I just think something like that, and if you want to make it monumental, then do just a regular one night only tournament. Here's your champion.
Yeah,
Even on Raw, like they could have even done it on Raw and have it just be a Monday Night Raw, and here's your tournament all in one night, and boom, there you go. I think that would have been done. I think that would have came off way better.
yeah. With those
Have
tournaments,
this.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
I
it's
mean,
when you see somebody like there's a reality there because you see somebody go to 2 3 matches before they get to the final. Even if like it's pre-made, it's all set up, you
right?
know what's
But
gonna
you
how
can see that they're
hard.
tired and they're beaten up and
That's
they're
right.
coming out and they're like bandaged up because they sprained their knee the previous match or something like that.
That's right.
Um,
So Seth Rollins wouldn't have to fucking jump, do like a bullet jump through the ropes, whatever they call it.
right,
Um,
suicide dive.
Suicide dive. That means nothing to me.
Well,
He doesn't have to do that if he goes through 3 fucking matches in the tournament and now he has to face AJ Styles. Like we already know it's all preset. We all know all of that. Great. But he doesn't have to fucking do any of that for AJ Styles to grab a fucking hold on his right knee, you know? Because that's what AJ Styles
right,
did in
yeah.
this match.
I mean, it made his calf crusher a little bit more um, meaningful because there was that injured leg. But other than that, like I mean, I still agree with you though. But yeah, I think if this was just done at a faster pace, like the whole leading up to the match, like I said, have it in one night and three
Yeah.
hours. You do a whole tournament in 3 hours. You could easily do that, and now you put this title on a higher pedestal than it was at the current moment.
Absolutely. And I
So,
already put I am going with 2 toilet paper rolls, brother.
oh, okay.
I might that might be surprising. This is not the same 2 toilet paper rolls as the ladies tag
Right,
showcase on
right.
WrestleMania, but it just when things just don't mean anything, I check out. Like give me something to care about, or give me something to like if this is the point of wrestling, maybe, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm just in a different decade
Well, you
of
are,
wrestling.
but
Not
you're not too
maybe,
far off.
not maybe. Yeah, definitely. But like don't give me the Uso storyline with Sami Zayn and you make that so fucking good. and then you give us this, which is like, I understand they have to just keep shitting ideas out, and 9 out of 10 times their ideas are shit. But every once in a while, one of them really sticks, and then you have a good storyline. It's what makes those storylines really worth it. It's because I had to endure through 3 years of fucking wrestling, where there was very little to be excited about, for me personally. And then you get to this whole fucking bloodline storyline, and all of a sudden you're like, well, they can still do this, you know? That just that made me happy. I was like super excited. It made me believe in wrestling again. And this is not anything to AJ Styles or Seth Rollins. I mean, they did as best as they could, and it was set up that way. And it's like God knows what things have to go behind the scenes. It's like, well, do we need to extend it? Well, we need to extend it for 3 weeks so we can build up this, or extend it for 3 weeks so because we have 3 weeks worth of shows before the pay per view, or whatever the fucking they wanted to do with this fucking tournament. But there seems to be a miss in the point, as you said yourself, which is when you have it all in one night, even us knowing that everybody's gonna win, you can tell that these guys wrestled 3 matches. They're tired, they're fatigued. Things are not gonna
Right.
work out quite the same. There's a sense of danger that they could injure themselves. I mean, and things are a little more believable because you can, even during those matches, you can build up somebody who is like, maybe Seth Rollins, like, fuck this, I'm gonna start cheating. I'm gonna do anything I can for.
Right.
Whereas
Right.
AJ
Yep.
Styles, like, you can build that up, and all of a sudden you got two. There's time to do that, and then ultimately it's them against themselves. Is what King of the Ring used to be, really. You know.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm two toilet paper rolls. It
Well,
kind of sucks, but
I'm
I'm
gonna I'm gonna go two as well, but I'm like on the higher end of two.
yeah,
I was gonna do a three until like I actually got into the mindset of how it could have been done better, a lot easier.
yeah,
And again, this has nothing to do with AJ and
no,
Seth because I like the actual match. Um, but like just seeing like how it could have been, what it could have been easily,
yeah,
and then that's where it could have been a lot better match if it had been done better.
yeah.
So
It
I'm
would have
at
been
the high end.
easy.
I'm at like a three ply two, but um,
Three ply two. Okay.
yeah, and you're at like a two ply two.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, no, nonetheless, two toilet paper rolls for me.
yep.
Um,
That's
and
four out of 10.
we'll see where it goes. And
And granted, Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes did a trilogy, all of which got, I think, 5 toilet paper rolls for me. So
yeah,
but they have a little bit of history together, and it's always easier to put people together with
exactly,
a little bit of
exactly.
history.
Like AJ and Rollins, like AJ's last heavyweight title shot happened to be against Rollins. But
Has Edge
they didn't
has
like they could emphasize that a little bit more,
has AJ
and
ever won
maybe
it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he's won every title that he could in WWE so far. It might not seem like it, but yeah, AJ's had quite a WWE career.
Yeah, good for him.
It's
Like,
been,
I don't care about the acrobatics, and like, I don't want to dismiss that from
well, no,
AJ.
that's just that's a style that he was like, Impact. That's how Impact was.
Yeah, and then, I mean,
Impact,
he was also in
Impact
Japan.
Wrestling, right? And that's where he learned that the technical stuff where he doesn't have to be as crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's pretty interesting to look back on how much AJ has done in his 8 years. I mean, I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the legacy that he had beforehand and how like how good he is, and he does deserve all that. So it's pretty cool to like actually look and like see like how big of a career he's already had in WWE, and half the time some of these guys have been there.
Yeah. Um.
But he's probably still done it 20 years longer than they have anyway. But
Oh yeah. That's
but
just it. Like I said, maybe I don't think you dwell in it as much as I do of the old school wrestling, be a business or old school wrestling style. Like you
I
didn't
don't. Yeah,
have to have
I
a.
don't.
You didn't
I
have
don't
to
miss
have.
it.
You don't miss it.
No, no, not like a lot of people do.
Well, I miss the storylines. Like to me, this was really kind of like antithesis. Like this is what a new style of wrestling is to me. You know, like when I listen to, when we're doing this with No BS and well,
Ryback.
Ryback. Okay, from that way. I almost said his name. Um, it just I understood even more clearly that, like, I'm hearing like this match is banging,
Right, right, right.
and it's like they're talking about moves, and they're talking about, did you see he did this off, and then like calling the moves, and it's like, I'm like, wow, like it was cool to know the moves, but it's like back in the day, like I just like I would remember the Rock and Austin storyline. I mean, maybe that's like too much on the nose, and how they built that up. And you knew like there were two top dogs of the company. They never faced each other, especially the first one, and it's like finally they're clashing against each other. You're like, holy shit, this is pretty fucking intense,
Right.
But like even the Sheik and Sergeant Slaughter, what we watched, like to me, like Sheik could wrestle, Sergeant Slaughter could wrestle, but what were they really doing? Like they didn't do a lot of moves.
Right, exactly. Their bodies were already done at
Yes,
that time.
but those stories were rocking, man. Those stories are fucking rocking. You got Sergeant Slaughter. He's representing America. I mean, different times, of course. Um, but I mean, it's like it, that the heat between the two was fucking intense. So you want to see what happens. And then you have Sergeant Slaughter turning on America to go with fucking Iraq. Oh, come on. Come on, with
Yeah,
Sergeant Slaughter turn on America. Come on, that's ridiculous. It
yeah,
sounds
that's
sounds
crazy.
but that, like, the people fucking, they were so pissed off, man. And it's like that emotion, just take that emotion and put it Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. Is
Right.
there any of that? No. Hence,
No,
two toilet paper rolls.
no.
It was rushed. I think it was rushed. Even though it was extended, it was rushed. If that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
We
I'm
we,
with you.
we need a champion. Uh
I'm with you.
and it's a lot to ask the wrestlers to, like, okay, well, we haven't really built up anything for you. So you're going to have to tell it in the ring. It's like,
Yeah, it's tough.
and then and one other thing though, like I also heard the wrestlers talk about 30, like they younger wrestlers. Like when I listen to them, there's one thing that keeps repeating, which is very much like, we want more time so we can tell a story in the ring. And I just, they always stuck with me. It's like, more time. This was about 30-minute match. And what did you tell me? It was back and forth, and Seth Rollins. Like if it wasn't for Seth Rollins just using his cleverness, being preparing for the match, I don't think there would be, what story would have been there.
Mhm.
Nothing. Do you
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do. I agree.
So this is a very very heavy ply to toilet paper review.
Yeah,
But
that's okay.
so 4 out of 10.
Four
Uh,
out of 10.
um, check us out at jawbers.com. That is JAWBERS.com or thejawbers.com and get yourself a t-shirt. We no longer have a hoodie up. I realized. I saw. I don't know what happened, but we'll be getting a new hoodie in. And yeah, yeah, man, check it the fuck out, you little jabroni. Anything else to add?
Ah, no,
Nope.
that's it.
Okay.